Hey guys, Rick Gualtieri, aka Moog Face Eater here, and I want to take a minute to say that if you're looking for magic, mayhem, and giant freaking monsters, then look no further than The Last of the Giant Fire Lizards by Christopher John Featheroff. That's right, the same Chris Featheroff who brings my Tome of Bill and Bill of the Dead series to life in audio. It's Lizard versus Wizard in this R-rated comedy fantasy of fire-breathing vengeance, available for ebook and audio. You've heard what he's done with my books. Now see what he can do when he doesn't have me hanging around his neck like a bald albatross. Check out a sample today at www.giant-lizards.com and prepare to be blown away by The Last of the Giant Fire Lizards.
This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hey everyone, and welcome to SideQuest, the every other week Authors and Dragons program in which we do something different. Sometimes we talk to somebody who's somebody really cool, sometimes we complain amongst ourselves, and sometimes we laugh at the death of cartoon characters.
I am
Can you
not
imagine-
okay.
Can you imagine which one we're going to do today?
I don't know what you're talking about. That'd be so mean. Like, Rachel, why would someone do that to you? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever to glorify the death
Oh
of
my god! Just
a beloved character.
Whoa, let's
you
we'll get there.
asshole!
I
In
don't.
a second.
Why would I do this?
I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. Like,
I don't know.
for those who
oh my
can't
god!
see,
I didn't see that. Oh, how'd that happen? Oh, look
it
at
does
that.
say "remember it." Okay, on my tit.
Oh, I do.
So.
It's how I go to sleep. I masturbate, sleep, repeat. It is the best thing that's ever happened to my nerd life to see that Cajun. Hey, everybody, we're talking about X-Men.
I'm still boarding. We're gonna
Anyway,
get to
I'm
that.
Rick
We will get to
Gualtieri,
that. Let's
and
let Rick
joining
start.
me today, who are having way too much fun with us already, are MK Gibson and Ari Carr.
Snickety snicked.
All right, now let's get back to like Gambit's dead ass.
Hey, can we at least lead up to Gambit's?
All
God, I
fine.
can't. I'm
All
too
right.
clever.
Technically, we weren't going to just talk about Gambit's dead ass. We were going to talk about X-Men '97 today,
Yes.
which is probably one of the best things to come out of Marvel in a while.
It's
And
been a few leaps and hops of quality, you know.
I
The
would
last-
argue, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the best thing that's come out on Disney Plus, like for sure.
Right. Some of the Star Wars projects are hit and miss depending on your level of Star Wars. A lot of the Marvel Plus.
We have
stuff-
Andor. We do have Andor.
I
will
didn't care
say
for. I didn't care for Andor.
Oh, you're
I didn't-
wrong about so many things.
No, I didn't. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't think it's bad. I just did not find it good Star Wars. I found it to be a very generic. What's the word I'm looking for? Blade Runner. That it was set in the Star Wars universe. It just didn't. It didn't resonate with me. But that we can have that. That's not what we're here for. We are here for Das X-Men.
And also, as good as DC animation is, there's only so many.
Batman and Superman movies I can watch.
Batman. I was going to say Batman, but Batman and Superman movies I can watch. Like Jesus
Right.
fucking Christ, guys! You have other characters.
There are other fucking characters,
Oh
right?
my god. I mean, The Long Halloween was something, but like, could we have a not Batman?
It's like they've
not
got some
Justice
really
League?
good ones. I love the Red Hood. It's one of my favorite
Mhm.
DC animated
Well,
ones.
you know what's sad? James Gunn kind of confirmed with. He was like, I love what they did with X-Men '97. You know how they continued the story, of similar animations. Like got a lot of the voice actors. And he's like, by the way, we're not going to do that with Justice League Unlimited. And was like, God damn, why not?
I mean, he did make a good point. Someone already did it, and unless he has something new to do, James Gunn is not the most. He's not one to retread on
No,
something
no.
that was good.
Yeah, but it's owned by Warner, and Warner Brothers has
Loves
never
to dip.
has never seen a pile of money they didn't want to grease up with their hands.
Like Scrooge McDuck in style. So while we're talking about the X-Men '97, I did watch it back in the original day. I think I was 97. I was bloody hell. To do the math. Fuck. What was I? 97, born in 75, 85.
You were younger than me, motherfucker. So shut up.
By like a couple of years tops. I mean, that's the thing.
In 97, I was 20.
Yeah,
but the show didn't happen in 97. It happened in like 92 to 96.
Yeah, right. 97 is actually skipping ahead a little bit.
So in 92, I was 17. So yeah.
But like, you know, this was the time when, like, you know, when Batman the Animated Series was out there, and I think, like, you know, and I think also you had, like, what was it, like Batman Beyond, like DC was in their heyday, and like Marvel was like, you know, getting their
Marvel was broke. Let's be real.
Right.
They were broke.
They sold the X-Men to Fox. They sold Sony Spider-Man to Sony.
They didn't sell the X-Men to Fox until after it was this series that actually gave them the capital to sell the X-Men because they were that bankrupt.
Right, and they were the reason they made the Avengers movies is because all their big properties were owned by other studios. Like how far back to everybody's X-Men? Like, because for me, it was like 1983 when I got a copy of a reprint of Giant Size X-Men 1. That was my first X-Men comic when I was 8 years old. And then I started collecting everything I could from old issues, old classic reprints going forward for the next 20 plus years.
I remember when like X-Men were essentially the joke of the Marvel universe. Like every cartoon they showed up or every comic book they showed in, they got their ass kicked, all that stuff. But then Wolverine got popular, and suddenly the X-Men were everywhere.
Well, the Chris Claremont run, where it was Claremont, and I've heard that John Byrne was the artist who did the one where he goes to Japan and he fights Shingen. Like that 4-issue arc became one of the best trade paperbacks and like really helped propel him into the future, at least in my opinion. It was one of my seminal classics.
But the thing was, he was always still a support character in the main X-Men comics. He did have storylines, but he had his own solo book. If you were asking, my introduction to the X-Men came, as almost every female comic book fan of the 80s and 90s was, when somebody's boyfriend gave them the copy of the Dark Phoenix saga to say, this is really cool, this is like comic books you would like, because let's put it this way, in the 80s and 90s there wasn't a lot, you know, to really look up to in comic book reading as a girl. And then I read it, and I'm like, wow, there is more than one female character in a comic book.
The X-Men were always good with that.
And it's about her. Yeah.
Some of the most iconic characters come from X-Men and are female. Agreed.
Yeah, and it was interesting, and there were character developments, and I was just hooked. So after I read Dark Phoenix, I went and hunted a lot of the trade paperbacks because I was catching up. So, of course, Days of Future Past.
Yep.
And then I started reading comics, per se, and I got all the X-Men. So I started with one, like everyone, and then you can't just read one, because they in the 90s, especially in the early 90s when I was really picking it up, it was all about crossovers.
Right.
And the one that I also loved, the TV show, because I was one of the people that like got the glasses from Pizza Hut and were like voting on the cups so that they on the Fox show. And when it was #1, even though it hadn't come out yet, officially, it was like the coolest thing, and I became completely hooked until Age of Apocalypse, and then I was completely hooked.
That was one of my favorite runs of all time.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I was always so on the X-Men comic because I was more of a Fantastic Four Spider-Man guy.
See, those are my two least favorites.
I collected literally everything that had to do with Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
It was it was a full takeover of Marvel.
It was so
cohesive. Yes, it was just wonderfully done. And I love that, like, some of the characters, some of the good characters and some of the scummy characters manages to like survive because, well, Marvel likes money. And then,
Dark Beast.
Dark Beast is just great because he is just such a fucking asshole, and it's great.
Oh, but you know what the fun thing is? There is a trivia fact that ties back to the show we're talking about. The Age of Apocalypse actually came from a 2-episode arc at the original X-Men show called One Man's Worth, which was directly claimed was the inspiration. They even worked Morphin, who was the character that was from the show, and that's where he got sort of his big
See, it's from there where we got Blink, and I loved Blink from Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, Blink was great.
And I think my personal favorite X-Men comic for many years. I mean, I grew up with this, so don't get me wrong, but I loved Exiles. It was the displaced X-Men who went around time, kind of like it was just Sliders meets Voyagers meets Quantum Leap, but with X-Men characters.
Like, I really liked X-Man, like, Nate Gray, because I never actually liked Cable.
He was much more interesting than Cable.
Oh, you people!
He was. I think it depends on the time you jumped in,
Yeah.
because if you were a big X-Force fan and you followed
Yeah, I
Cable
wasn't.
and kind of Deadpool and those people from there,
See,
you
no
think
offense
old
to Mr.
Cable is
Liefeld
great.
and his tiny hands and tiny lack of feet, but it was one of those like
He never
I love
drew feet.
I love the concept of those characters, but over time, once we learned about Cable, Nathan Summers, Ascani's son, and that there were two
But
old
Ascani
men,
was a sister.
right? But there were two old mentors that helped raise him, known as Slim and Red.
Yeah.
And as we now realize,
Yeah.
was
Cyclops
his
and
parents.
Phoenix.
Right? Time
That was a
displaced.
great one-off.
Great.
You know something? That was I liked that miniseries. I hated the art. I forget who did the art. I did not like the art of it.
It
and
was
that
a
kind of
bit.
pulled me out of it.
Was that the one that was kind of? They were very not bulbous, but kind of puffy. Is that the one I'm thinking
I'm not
of?
sure. But
It was also very dark, like color palette. It was
a
dark.
miniseries basically, and of course it was like Scott Summers and Jean Grey got married, and as their honeymoon, they get shunted off into an apocalyptic wasteland, and it's just like
That's X-Men for you.
Yeah,
no one is
that's
happy on their honeymoon. Gambit and Rogue's honeymoon, they ended up in space, and Deadpool crashed it.
yeah. I just wanted one comment from Cyclops that'd be like, we just got married, and I can't even fuck you with my own dick. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he would probably think more of doing Madeline. I mean, dear
Oh,
God.
dude. Oh,
the clothes.
I get it. Like someone was, I forget who it was. It might have been even Rick. I don't know. Was talking shit, or maybe it was Steve talking shit about Madeline in the X-Men 97. Like, wait a minute. She just had a child and she's going through her sexy phase. Who are you to shame her? And God damn it, I'm all on board for Madeline Pryor. And I get why Scott. Listen, the first thing Jean did when came back was like make out with Wolverine. Madeline, she's down. She's down. She's into role play and leather and bondage.
I'm sorry. I want to see a more realistic portrayal of Jean Grey, where every time they mention Madeline, she's just like, oh, you're a whore.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and no offense to the Jean Grey fanatics out there, over all the years and after the 92 different versions of Phoenix, I've come to hate Jean Grey so much.
I think the issue is that every single writer, when they take over, seems determined that they have to redo the Dark Phoenix in some way. Yeah. It's not the character's fault that she keeps getting retried, and she has some of the most problematic and worst storylines thrust on her.
They just love frigid Jean Grey.
Yeah, because everyone knows at this point her death is like as permanent as a Winchester's in Supernatural. Yeah. It's just not going to stick.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the whole Dark Phoenix thing where it's like you get the person, typically a white lady filled with power and is ready to explode. And like we see that in Siri and The Witcher. We see that in the girl in like that Winx show. We see it over and over and over and over. But when does Storm get to explode with power? When does
she gets to be an Avenger now?
Yeah. Woo! It's like
she's like high, like she's an Omega level mutant. I know what you mean.
Comic written Storm is one of my favorite characters. Every time she's portrayed in animation, she's the most boring character. She's enigmatic. It's banking on your knowledge of Storm. She's claustrophobic. Whoop-de-woo. Like it's like they don't put any time into her the way put into
at least they put some time into her. Emma Frost is one of the best characters in comic books, and literally she usually gets like 5 seconds of screen time.
Apparently, Bo DeMaio didn't like that character in particular.
I've never been a fan.
I do like Emma Frost because she is
cool.
I like her when she's written well. I should say she's either
incredibly
one note and horrible, but she's had some amazing runs, and I kind of liked her with Cyclops better than Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
But
she was a better match with Cyclops.
We're going down a comic
X-Men 97.
X-Men 97.
Overall, where's scale of 1 to 10? Where's your hype?
10.
Okay.
I'd give it. Something. I thought the Jubilee episode with Mojo was a little dopey. So I'm going to give it a 9 just because of that.
The only thing I will give it is that the Jubilee episode, one, it brought back the original voice actress, which I was very happy with and kind of merits to do. But the thing about the Jubilee the Jubilee half of the episode was they didn't keep it very long, but they showed the dangers of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And wanting things to stay the same. And I actually thought, story-wise, it was very important to have that moment before episode 5, which we will get to episode 5.
Well,
episode 5
I will agree with you to a point.
Like Sunspot.
If they had not truncated it down to a whopping like 11 and a half minutes, of story, and they could have gotten more of that across, I think I would have liked it better. But the fact is, we got a very boom, 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 boom version of that story.
But the whole series was boom, boom, boom. There were very few. I think episode 5 was the one that was as much as it was boom, boom. It was the one that I think had the best pacing.
Oh,
but we should probably go and like take the episodes like sort of.
For me, it's like I'm around with Rick. I'm like at an 8.5 out of 5 because when it hit, and there was a couple episodes that slide, but I'm not taking away from the power, the majesty, and the unity that the show had overall. It did a fantastic job. It picked up on nostalgia. It did bank a lot on somebody having seen or being aware of the X-Men in the past, but I'm okay with that.
The only thing I will give you the counterpoint is, so this year we had 2 shows in the car house. So British Accent and I watched 2 shows that one of us was excited and knew a ton about and the other one was just a novice. Fallout was his show, and X-Men 97 was my show.
Okay.
Both of those shows were, I think, well enough because I had a legit non-comic book reading husband, and he could follow every single episode without problem. We don't have that reference, and while it was a lot, and he every once in a while would be like, am I missing? Like, is that would I know more if I understood it? But he never got lost. He could follow the entire thing. He didn't have X-Men. He was in the UK.
I will say,
right.
For the first episode, my biggest joy was like, it starts coming on, and I'm thinking to myself, because they always do this with cartoon remakes, is they remake cartoons and they shit up they take what was epic music and they shit it up with something just generic that they took off the shelf. And I'm like sitting there going, come on. They're not going to have the theme song. They're not going to. And I'm
like, there was a slight tweak to it. It's not exactly the same. But
it was fundamentally.
Because the whole legalese from the original one, it was borrowed from another song, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it was a remix. It's a loving remix of the original that we know. As long as it has the that's all I care.
But you know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Gotta avoid those Hungarian lawyers. I am not kidding. That was literally the problem.
Yes.
Hungarian lawyers. But no, yeah, you're right. And that not only did they do the same theme song, in every single episode you couldn't skip the intro because they did different scenes in each one, and it was like a big Easter egg hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. And you even had to watch the Previously On because the Previously Ons were so well curated, and whoever spoke the Previously On would give you the hint as to whose episode it was.
See, that's why I skipped those, because they always do that in Supernatural. Hey, do you remember that episode 13 weeks back? We're about to do it again. And like, man, I wanted to be a surprise. Now you just told me what the surprise is going to be.
But they didn't tell you what it was. They were very.
I'm talking about the Supernatural episode. So every time they say Previously On, I don't watch any Previously On because I'm smart enough to remember my episodes, and I realize some people don't. I'm going in. I'm just going in.
Give it a couple of years.
I mean, it really though, they did it very well in this one. It was one of the highlights was the packaging of the show. Like, it started with a Previously On that made sense, and they actually remastered the Previously On if it was showing something from the OG
Speaking
series.
of package, Cyclops this year. Woo! Good job, Cyclops.
Gruesome!
I was just going to say, before we get into the meat of it, only
Cyclops'
minor annoyance at the end things where they show the X-Men bios and stuff. Mm-hmm. They cut it short to go to black screen. I'm like, no, just give us the whole fucking thing.
I know. It's just because there's so many more people involved.
I know, but I'm greedy.
Okay, I mean, these are the minor nitpicks. Yeah. But yeah, the first episode, let's talk about it. I mean, it is the obligatory setup episode.
Which will go in as the show goes. I've forgotten how much of a telenovela, Spanish soap opera X-Men really was. Yeah. It's too complete with like, I will never leave my child. I can't let you do this. Back turn or the dramatic or the back flip over. How could you do this to me, Jean? They're like, oh my God.
Of X-Men is backflips, civil rights, and soap opera. Those are the 3 pillars of X-Men, and that's what you come for.
Dude, there's an evil clone. Someone comes out of a coma. There's making out. And then she makes out with Wolverine that gets mad at him for having a psychic affair. Have like the audacity. Like, I'm like, this is just, I'd forgotten how soapy this thing really was.
And then there's Charles, and then there's Charles and like, and Magneto.
Bark like a dog. You caught that one?
Dude,
that he
was it just me, or was like when I was watching the finale? We'll get to it. We'll start here the thing. But when Charles kept leaning in, like, dude, just fucking fuck already. Like, you keep leaning, like you're waiting.
We will get to the amazing subtext. Don't worry. But I absolutely, I think that's why the 10 out of 10 was, because it was unapologetic about those three pillars of X-Men. I am not what I do actually like the Bryan Singer films, at least two of them, but they were less of what they were more kind of matrixy, serious action movies. And X-Men is soap opera. X-Men is backflips and crazy fights and it also didn't have the tag team fights.
Oh, like the tag team fights and powers and like cannonball specials, and
which was the amazing thing in the comics, and even the original series, just because in case you haven't seen it, it was done on a very low budget, and Saban Entertainment, before they had Power Rangers money, did it. So they did the best they could. Like, we will get to it later, but there's a certain character that never could turn. He always had to be seen front on and only like the top half, because he was so hard to animate. They couldn't have the character move significantly. So they did a lot in this new series. The first episode, they had a tag team battle.
Yep.
And that moment, they had a tag team battle. They had drama about missing Charles Xavier. There was Jean and Cyclops and Wolverine pining. And they talked about how mutants were persecuted. So we got the three pillars right in episode
and they had Gambit
1.
in a belly shirt.
Yeah, I love that shirt. Oh my! Did you see the voice actor going to con and he wore that shirt?
Well, I liked a lot of people were saying like a lot of negative things about it. Then they just show people from the 90s, like men wearing half shirts. Like, no, that was happening. Yeah. Like, so get.
Oh my God! Adam Sandler wore a crop top.
Dude, just go back and watch how many vibes are in Top Gun, and that was from the 80s. So get over yourself.
Go back and watch any David Lee Roth video. I mean, come on.
Right.
I know.
So yeah, episode 1, To Me, My X-Men. Obviously, we have them doing other things. Cyclops in his fucking tucked in polo. God bless the man. And
he's so square, but he had things to do.
This is my second favorite version of Cyclops, next to Wolverine and the X-Men. That Cyclops that went Nomad, done by I forget the name of the voice actor, fucking famous. He'll come to me later. But the same guy that did Drake's Fortune, Drake's Revenge, the Uncharted
Nolan
series.
North.
Nolan North, thank you. Yeah, he did that version, and that was my favorite. But this Cyclops grew a spine.
Yes. And I think they're going more towards the Whedon run, where he went dark, and I'm all for it because you see reasons for it. And the first episode, as I said, I watched it with a non-comic book reader, and he saw enough that he knew who all these characters were. I mean, he obviously knew who Gambit was because he's walked into my room and seen my poster. But
why does that not surprise me? It's just
that should not surprise you. I am a woman of a certain age. I have
exactly. He was created in a lab specifically for 90s era women. I get it.
Yes, he was. Okay.
I get. I saw Highlander too. I get the trench coat, fingerless gloves, and someone put a dead poodle on their head, like a Davy Crockett haircut.
The mask. He really was a Franken character as far as design. It shouldn't have worked. And why they made him Cajun? He speaks to himself in his third person. He's a redhead. He's got red eyes. There should be nothing sexy, and yet it's just like a field
because
of
he's got that whole lanky, tall British thing where it's like he's just not British.
He's Cajun.
Yeah, but my point is he's built like a David Tennant meets.
Yes. He's very David Tennant.
Cumber Loki.
Yeah, I'm chewing on this squirrel.
You're thinking Tom Hiddleston and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes, Cumber Loki. They're the same person.
No, they're not.
They're tall, thin, lanky British actors. They're all the same
with
thing.
Green eyes.
They're just clones. People. They're just clones. Anywho,
I married a British guy with green eyes.
Magneto. I'd forgotten about his lesbian grandmother costume with the crushed red velvet gloves and the scarf.
Oh my God!
The big M.
The comics.
Oh, it is. I remember it.
It was like he shows up with the first time he shows up and he's dressed like Magneto, and then suddenly
he's got Patrick Swayze hair. It's like you're like Tu Wong Fu in this motherfucker. Like,
every '90s character had that hair at some point, except for
Magneto's
Cyclops.
like
early 90s.
He's 100 years old yet. Like when they strip him down to like a little mankini at one point, and he's like ripped.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the mankini and talk about the Magneto cosplay kit and all that. But no, it was great because if you haven't watched the old series, spoiler alert, at the end of it, Charles Xavier has to go to space because he's been mortally wounded, and Lilandra of the Shi'ar Empire, who is his one true love and codependent space bitch,
they're
take
bird
him
people.
away.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
She's got
They
a
apparently lay
cloaca.
eggs.
Yeah.
Yes. He likes it. We don't kink shame.
Well, he's numb from the waist down, so it's like right now it's just, so.
But yes, Lilandra takes him away, and the world thinks Charles Xavier is dead. So in the first episode, the X-Men are kind of like, oh, whatever do we do? Cyclops is trying to sort of keep things together, and then the mansion gets crashed by Magneto, who reads off Charles Xavier's will, and he's left everything, including the X-Men, to Magneto. And the voice actor they got for Magneto has a voice like butter. And the gravitas.
He's
Unfortunately,
very
the
good.
original voice actor did pass away, so did Charles Xavier's. But the one cool thing you also mentioned is that every living voice actor from the original show either reprised their role in the case of Beast, Wolverine, Storm, and Rogue, and Mr. Sinister.
The only one that doesn't work right now for me, Rogue, because Rogue sounds like a horny-year-old grandmother. I understand. She's the voice actress is in her 70s at this point. So
yeah, and she's in Parliament and has to like take recesses from Parliament to do it. So it's pretty cool. But the other voice actor, so Jean Grey is in it, but she is not playing Jean Grey anymore. She is Valerie Cooper. Gambit's original voice actor is now Cable. And Jubilee's original voice actress was Abscessa. I don't know if we found the others, but apparently all of them were there.
Cool.
But Cyclops' original voice actor.
Let me pose this to the group here. Obviously, when the first episode hit, it was very much an homage to the original X-Men cartoons opening because they're using DaCosta instead of Jubilee as the focal point for the new mutant joining the group, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I like Jubilee. I like Sunspot in the comics. This Sunspot can go to hell.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's not supposed to be very likable because he's a spoiled little rich boy. But you have to give somebody room to grow.
Yeah, but you just have to give him airtime. Right now, he's like, I don't wanna. And she's at the end, I'm gonna, so.
I think we can get to that, and I think there's one issue that the series has.
Now, I loved him from the comics, but not in this.
Yeah. Every scene he was on, it was just like, okay, this will be over soon.
But I think he did do a good proxy for the audience, and I said I like that there was one. All of them, the X-Men are always flawed. So to see someone who's sort of starting at the beginning, I kind of enjoyed him, but he wasn't my favorite, I will say. So
Mutant Liberation begins, episode 2. Magneto is forced by the UN to stand trial.
Oh yeah, they do the trial of Magneto, and he wears the lesbian grandma outfit.
Yeah.
Props to them for just going there.
Well,
they're going full 90s.
They did, and when he I don't know about you all, but it's one of those when he brought the council members up into the sky and held them there, I could do this, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But it's also a double power play. He's showing, here's my benevolence, but motherfucker, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Don't make me disappoint you was the line
don't make me disappoint. And when he says you, he means Charles. In his head, it's don't make me disappoint Charles because he's willing to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was basically the very fact that I'm surrendering to you means that I'm serious.
And it was really the first episode was kind of, it's okay, it's pretty, the fights were good, let's set everything up, but it was a lot of setup.
Yes.
The second episode, when Magneto got to speak and you got to see the civil rights pillar of the X-Men in full force, and it had the speechifying, it had the grandiosity of the character, and it gave me that, Fassbender and McKellen vibes of this is a serious motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was so well written. The dialogue was so damn good. It made me almost pissed off because it was not realistic dialogue, but it was realistic to the character.
Well, it's soliloquy style. So yeah.
And it's one of those things the older you get, you look and you're like, if I was her, I'd probably more be Magneto than Professor X.
Yeah, it starts this whole theme that Magneto was right. It's one of the big.
I'm one of those people that I understand. It's kind of like a Thanos is right kind of thing. I'm one of those human beings. I will step back and I unfortunately side with the Iron Man aspect of Civil War because you can say Magneto was right and he is about certain things, but that's because you're holding the pen for the episode. Whenever they do these X-Men cartoons and comics, we obviously have a heavy civil rights movement because they are a proxy for everybody who's other and it works. And it doesn't necessarily hang a lampshade, but it shows you by using allegory, and it's phenomenal when it does that. The downside is they also forget there's like the world loves superheroes. We got aliens, we got fantastic radiation mutants, we've got people that get forgiven every third Thursday. But so when they showed the other cameos in the show, like Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, et cetera, these people are beloved, but the X-Men are not. Now the argument is always
they're the good ones,
right? But again, it's when it's written by an X-Men writer because they really have to hammer that home.
That's one thing I have never quite understood about the Marvel universe.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, how come the Fantastic Four gets a pass, but like
you know
because
why?
they weren't born that way.
They weren't born that way, and I think there's a fundamental fear of every parent that their child will be an other, and it taps into that fear.
You are correct, but there's also the fundamental fear of a child like, hey, what if the kid sitting next to you does blow up? Because they can do that. No, that's what started this. That's when when the New Mutants were chasing around Nitro, he blew up a school by accident, and that's what caused this original Civil War comic.
Yeah, which they kind of would say put to Wanda in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like Wanda's little accident blew up people. Like, no, this is for real, because obviously when most of these X-Men hit 13 is when like where their hormones are kicking in and it's time of stress.
At the same time, though, one thing that annoyed me is they always fell back on the type, especially in the movies and stuff, where it was like, oh, my child is a mutant, I'm horrified. I always wanted to see just a normal thing along the lines like,
oh, look at my strongest kid in the world, holy shit.
Like, look, I can levitate things with my mind. That's nice. Levitate the garbage outside, punk.
Exactly. I can transmute anything to gold. Fuck, great.
Yeah, exactly.
But they can do that once.
Right.
It would be a great storyline once to see it as the flip side, but it's a very important, like, let's be real, it's a coming out.
It is 100%.
Metaphor.
Yeah, always has been.
And it's something very, close to my heart as a parent. I get it, but it is very clear that mutants are the inescapable, the other, the born. They are still a lower class. Like, Captain America served his country and was given a serum by, the ultimate smart men. Iron Man, is the quintessential bootstraps billionaire. Yeah.
Right.
And those are things. So I do like this.
Shit.
Yeah.
But he was a scientist. He was another great man who had an accident, but he wasn't born that way.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't born that way. Spider-Man got it pretty young when he was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you have these situations, obviously, like it's the born this way analogy, obviously, that scares people and scares parents. But you also have to say you have a right, because if a kid could potentially be a gun, do you want a gun in your school? And it's like, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying the discussion has to be had, and the X-Men comics were never afraid to shy away from the discussion, and that's what Charles and Magneto bringing it back to Magneto was right. That's their whole power dynamic is exactly right. It's the Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's version of equal rights. Magneto knows they will forever be feared and be seen as other because they are a more powerful species. They just are. And human beings don't like Drew's book, Superpowers. They constantly talk about the supers, the powers, and the humans, and humans don't want to be.
No one wants to be the next Neanderthal.
Right.
And this whole episode, like they said, as we get episode 2 is when it starts getting good.
Yes.
Like,
and episode 3, we have, what is that? When a visitor arrives at the mansion. Yes. Yes.
We have the speed run of Inferno, which, as someone who, like, a lot of women hated that particular I know even Claremont hated Inferno.
I
mean, the comic book Inferno was misogynistic as fuck.
At the time when I saw it, I will misogynistic. Sure, was I a teen boy and I saw an awakening of like there's a reason I like Elvira.
Her outfit awakened things in me too.
There's a reason I like Morticia Addams. Yes, it's because the Goblin Queen is smoking hot.
But it also I think it's one of those cases where speed running it on the show may have done some favors, because having it all be tied back to, and it was the introduction of Mr. Sinister, which, as I said, he was the one character that could never turn around in the original show.
Because of those damn things.
And, they made sure in his very first scene he turns, and there was just, my poor husband's like, why are you cheering a guy turning? I'm like, you don't understand. That's legendary that he couldn't do it. And now he's doing it.
As writers, did anyone else catch that Beast's entire existence is the exposition dump, especially like
Yes.
he was like the Jerry Springer, you are the father. He had to run in with a clipboard going,
Yes.
I've got the data right here. One of you was the clone. We'll find out after this commercial break. Like it.
And he had no fucks to give. There was no gentleness about it.
No.
It was just like, hey, Gene, you're not Gene. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the age of this DNA does unlike you just
See,
Springer.
that's another thing the writer me gets angsty about.
You just
Okay.
destroyed this family and enjoyed it.
Right. But it's like they have the technology.
But
One,
Beast
time
never
travel.
thought about that.
They've got time travel technology that they're just tinkering on. They've got the technology to turn off mutant powers. So, Rogue, shut up. For the love of God, shut up. This
That
was sitting,
actually is in the comics. That does work. There is a reason. There is actually a reason why she doesn't.
and
It causes a lot of side effects and pain.
you got 30 minutes, baby.
Take
You
an
got
aspirin.
No, they do. That's how they spend their honeymoon. She wears a control collar. Just so you know.
Yeah. But it's one of those scenarios like they have all these things that are in the technology, and then they act baffled by other stuff. So the writer me like, don't introduce something, then immediately take it away. It's kind of like when Storm loses her power, and the next one up, like in the second half, it's like it was the power was in you all along. No, it wasn't. It was removed
No, it
by
wasn't,
medical
actually.
science.
No, it was replaced by science too. Yes, it was. We'll get to life, death. That's the next episode. We're still on Inferno.
And Rachel mentioned a honeymoon, which will not be happening in X-Men 97.
Shh, we haven't gotten to episode 5 yet. We're still on episode 3. So yeah, they speed
We're
run
40
Inferno,
minutes into
and
it. Speed it up.
Clip
yes,
the
okay,
shit.
it's a freaky episode though. I will say the animation was quite disturbing.
Lots more
part.
soap opera in this one. Heavy soaps.
Yes, this is 100% the soap opera episode. So for those who haven't read the comics,
Woke up from
You
a
discover
coma with
that
an evil
there's-
twin.
yes,
Yeah.
the evil twin from the
Evil
coma.
twin goes evil, eventually
Gets
regrets
redeemed.
it, breaks up. Yeah,
Yes.
whatever the fuck. Episode 5.
Nope, we're still on 4.
Was that also the one where they went inside of her like astral vagina because the big light opens up and
Yes.
they went inside the womb? Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yes, this was the astral vagina. The next episode is split into 2. So the first half is Montendo, which is you get Mojo. I wish there was more Mojo.
I hate him with every
Didn't give a shit.
burn and salty
I
earth
like
with all of
Mojo.
Mojo.
And the second half of the episode literally was like, oh, let's take everything.
Storm
let's
lost
take,
her powers in episode.
and now let's give them back to her. Like, I mean,
No,
literally.
but she's trying in this one. She's just trying to deal with not having her powers, and she's hooked up with a man named Forge,
I
who
like
is
Forge.
tinkering on trying to find a way to fix her power loss.
One of the great characters, one of the worst power sets. He's in the top 10 of the suckiest mutants.
And I
His
mean,
power
look,
is he can invent anything.
His
over
intro
time.
was pretty much like a predator. He pretty much picks her up in a bar and
He
is like, hey,
does.
come back. Hey, what? Come
Hey,
back
I've
to
been
my place
stalking you. How you doing,
and see
Aurora?
my
Yeah.
mutant.
I'm not going to mention the fact that I designed the power draining technology.
He designed the technology that was then turned. He's like, he was,
yeah.
so it's like, but yeah, he also is like, yeah, come to my science van down to my basement, where there's no windows.
But he was cute enough that she did go to the science van,
Yeah.
and they hooked up, and there was sexy time.
Yes, there was much sexy time.
So we got more soap opera.
So much sexy time that her hair grew back. That is because she went from a mohawk to believing in herself,
not
and she
in
got a
this
new outfit
episode.
and hair.
Not yet.
I'm
That's
just
not till
jumping.
episode 6. Okay, we've got to get to it. So of
All
the
right.
entire show, this is the episode they have noted. They have submitted this episode to the Emmy committee. This is their long.
Everybody dies.
Yes. So this though is probably the best single hour of Marvel Disney Plus period. Anyone want to argue me with that?
No, it was stupid.
Giant middle finger to Leech, to Callisto, to a whole bunch
Madeline
of other
Pryor.
characters.
Well,
Oh,
she's
and
Banshee, Moira, McTaggart, half
think
the Morlocks.
We got Nightcrawler back in that one.
Yes, in a land called Genosha.
Yeah, and Genosha. Like I was hoping it was Krakoa, then it would just sit up. But yeah, I love Genosha. I've always loved that little island paradise. They even talk about, they even get into the economics a little bit. Like, hey, it's like shit ain't free. But they're doing their best. They're having a great part. And then we also learned that Magneto and Rogue have a past, and a creepy past, because he's like always
they've had little
right, but now
breadcrumbs
that
all episode.
but now that like they established like, yeah, hey, I was like 19 and he's 97, but we could go to Boner Town.
well, you know something. Let's. I mean, yeah. She's young, he's old. It's kind of creepy, but at the same time, he's the only one who can create a magnetic condom. So,
yeah, there was a slight shade of, is he grooming her? Is it just a May December thing? But I think it was cool that it did question, was it creepy? What the power? They actually talked about it. This episode, more than any other, had the best like character moments.
Yes.
Probably until the last episode with
Yep.
Charles and Magneto. You also got to see the Gambit and Rogue relationship. Like, there was more character development on the relationships in this 1 hour than there had been in a lot of
You got
years.
some awesome Gambit Magneto sniping, like
Yes.
talking about the plane crash, and he's like, you're the only one who can't fly.
Dude,
Yes.
it's when he comes in and he has like they have the magnetic fly dance. That's like it's like straight
to
up
an Ace of Base song
to
that
an-
was period appropriate, but still
Right.
sounded awesome.
and but it's one of those scenarios like they're dancing. And every time she's looking into his eyes and he smiles and looks around, and whether they can't shoot over the camera or not, Magneto's shooting Gambit the stink eye like like
And they kiss, and Gambit sees it. This is after they've sort of broken up their non-relationship.
yes.
Just to say. But after they kissed, she's like, "Nope, I'm sorry.
No, so
It's not you, Magneto."
Be careful. Like, let's put a pin in that for later because we're like they're non-relationship. Like, obviously they care, but it's never been evolved past a friendly, flirty, caring. They're not actually in a relationship. So when after the following events, when gloriously portrayed behind me, now I'll give you this. Rachel, I will admit it hurts. He looked cool. He looked cool going up against the Mega
Sentinels
Sentinel.
crashed the party.
The Mega
say.
Sentinels hit, and he speared in the side. He's like, I'm not done. I give credit where credit is due.
He went out like a boss.
And when they pulled that trigger, I sat there in awe, going, "Oh my god!" Then I laughed for like 3 minutes straight. I had to pause it. I'm like, I've been begging for this.
They
for
actually
30
did this to this
fucking
character.
years.
This is like one of like the title characters who showed up, and they
they killed him, and he stayed dead.
Not yet, but he's going to be death.
We know that, but that's actually from the comics. I think that's
Right.
the best way to handle it. When we get to episode 10, we can do it.
Yep.
But no, it was overall like we're glossing over. There was so much soap opera, so many backflips, and a wee bit of civil rights because they did talk about Genosha.
Yep.
But this episode, I mean, it was one of the most intense hours, and I think even the Gambit haters, looking at you, Gibby, could admit he went out like a boss.
He did go out with a boss.
This was literally X-Men 97 does the Red Wedding.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Get out of here.
No, they killed so many like long time
the
characters.
one that hurt
and,
my
like,
feelings.
Angel
I mean,
is still missing.
Right, yeah, Archangel's been gone for a while, but like it was
But
when
he was probably dead in the.
when we thought
that-
Magneto was also dead because they did a switch on us.
Yeah.
But when Leech looked at me like everything's gonna be okay, right? And he's got to look at this kid and he's gonna start speaking to him in German, just like
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. And then when he stops Rogue from coming in, he does that whole like kind of like the Jean Grey and X-Men 2 reach back, stop the Grey and raise him up because like it was a powerful moment and very well done. And we are also by this point getting hints of Bastion because all the little clues are laid in there.
You saw him in the background of Forge, he had a picture of him and all that. And Bastion, one of the lamest villains in the comics, actually made cool.
I loved him in the comics.
The Siege Perilous was so like his origin was lame. He was just
I love all the retcon and redos
generic
like that. But it was during that time of the tolerances extinction, no more mutants. That era of the late 90s, late 90s. When
I always just thought he looked cool, but was fairly like boring retread in the comic.
At the time, again, as a young man, when I was looking at it, like yes, he was boring. But it was good art style. But when you take a step back, he is just another version of a Magneto. These are this Machiavellian step-by-step process that is like, it is very good Dr. Evil, excuse me, but a Bond-like villain, and how he all his steps, plans within plans, and backup plans. And that's like, it was, that aspect was cool. As a kid, yeah, get me back to some punching and kicking, But this version of Bastion,
Oh, yes. Theo James, who last was in animation as one of the artificers in Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
He was
also in The Gentleman, and also on Netflix right now. Phenomenal show.
Yeah, he was so calm and he was very machine-like in it, and I loved the portrayal of him. So now you have this. We find out in the next episode, Bastion is the one that sent the Sentinels
And he's been pulling what's it?
Pulling the strings.
Mr. Essex, Mr. Sinister.
Yeah. So they've been working together because Mr. Sinister wants all the mutants to be in pens so he can play with them.
Right.
So we're all like, crap, Genosha's destroyed, Gambit's dead, we're all mourning. Let's have an episode with Storm, get her powers back by fighting a demon.
Bored. I actually, this is the one episode I skipped forward. I watch forward, watch forward,
I loved Life Death, though, in the 80s on the run, because it was such an interesting, quiet character.
It was a good comic, but this just didn't work for me because they took months of relationship building between Storm and Forge, and building everything that was cool in long form. In short form, it just felt too snap of the fingers. Yeah. And it didn't work for me because I know they wanted to have Storm back by the end. So I would have just not taken her powers away. That's me. I would have found it. I would have used that at least, but I know they're touching on certain things they wanted to do. So be it. It just didn't work for me.
They were speed running a few stories.
Yeah, they speed ran that and
but she did act the hell out of it.
Yes, she did.
The voice actress playing Storm, you can't say she didn't have plenty to do.
I'm glad they gave her this moment.
She got zapped. She did get zapped. It wasn't the fact that science didn't save her, but she was still mentally blocking her cure. She didn't want to recover because she was unsure of herself. As soon as she was sure of herself, the cure worked.
I will just say I believe you because I skipped a lot of the episodes because I was bored with my fucking mind.
Yeah, no, it is in there. It is in there.
Bored out of my
the timing was
mind.
just terrible. It's the same thing with comics. They have a huge thing, and then the next issue is, we're going to go somewhere else and and leave you hanging. And that was basically just okay.
But it was nice to recover.
You're going to a B story. But here's the thing: they were going to a B story, and it was just not a very interesting B story.
Jumping from the death of Gambit and the basically the immolation of Genosha to this felt like when the Who Was Cartman's Father episode of South Park, we came back for the Terrence and Phillip episode. It felt like just a big old fart, and it just did not. It after everything that happened, it didn't work for me. But
I mean, it is a little like the post-Aerith death. You go to the Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy VII. I can get a little tonal whiplash there.
Yes.
I will concede that.
But that brings us back to episode 7, Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes. That's your Cable coming back.
I like Cable.
Both Rick and I we like X-Men better.
He's just another product of the 90s that came and went, and Cable's still just listen, it wasn't Deadpool and Nate Gray. It's Deadpool and Cable for a reason. There's a reason that character has existed. Nate Gray went the way of the dodo because it was meant to be.
But here's the thing: they don't, since he's not the focus, there's not a whole lot to do with him. It's like he shows up. Yeah, I'm this tough guy. It's like, you're actually my son. Oh, am I? Okay, Dad, let's go play baseball or something. Yeah,
it's not quite that. He's I know who you are and I don't care.
Well, we've also learned he's done this 200 times. So once you realize he's done this 200 times, you look back how many times has he had this conversation?
Which I think is very cool, the way that they've done it. Plus, he's grieving. He keeps watching his mom die, and he can't save her.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So I hate to say it, I would have rather have watched that, almost like a Star Trek episode of of him just screwing up over and over instead of the Storm episode.
Do a Groundhog's Day episode of him trying, and every time trying to get one step closer.
Kind of like the last episode of Loki.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think maybe because they had just done it, maybe they didn't want to do it. But at least in this episode, you start getting the plan. You meet Bastion, and he has Magneto back. You have Rogue going rogue. Seriously hardcore.
Magneto in his mankini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm saying if I looked like that, I would be in my mankini all the time. Right now, I'd just be like,
a black Speedo is your Magneto cosplay kit. And a lot of
magnetic powers. Him being buff at 110 years old, that's his superpower.
Now, I will say this. I understood a lot of what Rogue was doing, but again, my not boyfriend just died. Now, it's someone she cared about, but then she's acting she went rogue.
I think because she really loved him and realized she fucked up and lost him.
Sure, and then she's definitely mad at herself. We see that when
she also thinks Magneto is dead too, and all these other people died, and she has horrible survivor's guilt.
Yeah, but throwing Captain America's shield was a dick move. Just sorry. I can understand he didn't want.
I enjoyed that.
I did not. He's like, I want to help you. My hands are tied. But he's like, yours are not, Rogue. Read between the lines. Yeah. Aim, but throw your frisbee away. I'm with you until that moment. He can't. He'd have to put on the
Grief
nomad
makes
costume.
monsters of us, though.
Right. That's really far. Okay. That's really far, Rogue. For someone who stole their powers from someone else, you're being kind of a dick. So.
I give her a pass. It was a rough day.
No, I give her a pass for wrecking the going down the Thunderbolt. I give her a pass for wrecking all the military shop that's going to cost the taxpayers billions to fix. But it was the shield. That was my line. No. Sorry.
Okay. Not the next episode dropping the guy off the building where literally the rest of the X-Men are like,
See,
yep,
now
you
that's
did
where the
what we were
survivor's guilt
thinking.
kicks in.
I like that. I like the way she.
I liked that a lot.
I like Wolverine's back there like, yeah, do it,
Yeah.
Oh, can I take a quick second? Wolverine was written this season, maybe before, but definitely this season as John Bender from the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Frickin' teacher's pet nerd. I'm gonna. You see this stabby? And he's got Roberto down on the ground. See my knife next to your neck? Aren't I edgy? You're 130 years old. Grow the fuck up.
I thought he was having a bit of fun. I liked Wolverine, and
He's John Bender from the Breakfast Club.
But I like the fact that he wasn't in every episode as the focal point because there's so much X-Men of the past decade has
They're
been
much
just
better
the
X-Men.
Wolverine
Yeah, granted, I grew up that kid. I love the edgy Wolverine, the rule of cool. But every time he meets Spider-Man, he gets his ass kicked. So it's
rightfully so.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like he can
Gambit
beat up.
kicked his ass.
Yeah, he can beat up on like just thugs and nerds and people with in flannel shirts and bars all day long. But like real superpower people kick the shit out of him on the regular. So.
Well, yeah, because he's actually more of a ground level.
Yeah, he really is a street level guy.
Right, but like Daredevil beats your ass, Luke Cage beats your ass, Spider-Man beats your ass, Iron Fist beats your ass.
But here's the thing about Wolverine is not who beats his ass.
Well, because he keeps getting back up because it's his mutant power. Except after this episode where he got his medal ripped out, one of my favorite comics, and they're glad they did it.
They did it, and they did it exactly like the comics. So we've moved up to the last 3 episodes are all one, so we can
it's Tolerance is Extinction, parts 1 through 3.
They go there. Wolverine gets his adamantium ripped out, but we should probably circle back. After the Genosha massacre, Charles gets a big psychic, oh crap, everything's going to shit. Yes. I cannot just come and shag my bird girlfriend for the rest days, and has to come back to Earth.
I feel like they spent a little long. Here's the thing. I know they had to establish that and get him home, but I feel like for when they're ready to go past a lot of other people's stories, but wanted to linger on this one, I wish they had just gone a little bit faster and just had. I don't think they needed the whole Warbird Gladiator going to school.
I don't really care about Leandra. It was nice seeing Gladiator pretty much just utterly pimp slap Deathbird.
Yes,
just to prove that
But I kind of like seeing the space aspect of X-Men, just to know that they're not getting rid of the weird.
But it needs to be given justice. It was literally just a cut through. Oh, and by the way, while all this is going on, Charles Xavier is banging the Queen of the Shi'ar.
Right. I
kind of like seeing his torn, because he was actually about to be happy and about to have a lot of power and personal gain. And him being Charles Xavier, he gives it all up. He gives up his girlfriend. He gives up his potential being king because he sees a vision of what happened in Genosha, and he sees a big Gambit with a death mask on his face.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, it's kind of sad that they also made him give up the exoskeleton that
let him walk.
No, you don't get to take that with you.
You don't get to keep that.
No.
See, when I was watching that episode, one of my best friends, we call after the episode and we talk the next day, and he's like, that whole Magneto reversing the polarity of the planet to do an EMP thing like that. I'm like, that's straight out of the comics, dude. Mm-hmm. That is straight, because he's like, really enough, that's what caused the X-Men to go up, and that's what led into Wolverine losing his adamantium. And then, oh shit, that's what they did. They just harvested that entire thing. Like, yay! So.
And it's fun watching a bunch of nerds have to explain how not having a strong magnetic field is a bad thing, and what that does to life, and what the magnetic field actually does for repelling solar radiation.
Because we're going to be dead in like 48 hours.
Now the thing is, Magneto did all that in his mankini.
Have you seen?
He did. He did do it all in his mankini.
Now, did you see the memes going around? That's like, all right. As Cyclops, okay, Jean, you guys are on blue team. Wolverine, you're probably on the red team. And they're like, isn't Wolverine Metal Magneto? And they cut to him thinking about him kissing Jean. He's like, Wolverine, you're still on that team. You got this, buddy. You got this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not the best matchup in the world.
But I've joked that's like a running gag in X-Men. They always throw Wolverine against Magneto, and he's always just like, dude.
Well, X-Men 1, he's like, you think this is all about you? You know, because everything had been.
Does that metal go
two
through
people
your
you don't send
whole
against
body?
Magneto, Wolverine or Colossus. You know,
Yes,
it makes
no,
sense.
and
Doesn't
yet
work
they
on
do
Colossus. Doesn't work. His metal is non-ferrous, so it does not work on Colossus from the
I'm
comics.
sure I could. Haven't they retconned that a few times?
Well,
I think it depends on the they have done it. And
the era that I remember, his bio metal is not. Ferrous.
I know.
he also
In
can
the Ultimate
retract
Universe,
his power.
he could.
Yeah.
He was way too strong for Magneto, but.
But yeah, we're digressing. It's comic. It depends on the writer and what they
Colossus
want
wasn't
to
even
do.
in this season. Fuck you, Colossus.
But yeah, no, they always throw Wolverine against Magneto. But the thing is, there's always been this sort of gentleman's agreement, like we will stop each other, but we don't go too far. But I think after Genosha,
yes,
we
got a few minutes left in the
everything was amped
podcast.
up.
So before we get to the jump to the end, I just want to give a massive shout out to the Wolverine and Nightcrawler blade fight against the Sentinel, the Prime Sentinels, because when he's like, I got 6 reasons for you, bub, and he's outnumbered, and Nightcrawler goes like, no, my friend, 9, because he's got the 2 swords and 1 in his tail. I'm like, oh my god, and it's also just no in German, so like,
and you get to see his
beautiful
teleport animated.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I normally am not a fan of Nightcrawler, but they did Nightcrawler justice in this.
I love Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler and his daughter Nocturne, fantastic characters.
Yeah. Because he got to bang the Scarlet Witch in the comics. Cha-ching.
No, let's be honest. In the comics, everybody has banged everybody else.
Everyone has banged everyone.
So there was this
Ultimate Universe, Quicksilver banged Scarlet Witch.
Exactly. They were.
There actually there was one where Nate Gray and Jean Grey.
No, but like brother and sister,
were
they had Lannister lust in the Ultimates 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, no, there was literally one with Jean Grey and Nate Grey because they were from alternate universes.
When She-Hulk grabbed Wolverine, he's like, I hear you're the best at what you do. And I felt bad for Wolverine in that moment because no offense to him or his prowess, she also had relations with the Juggernaut. And I'm not saying you match up.
That was an alternate universe version of her. She actually didn't.
I've seen the episode print. You're like, we could Google it right now. But anyway,
did it happen in X-Men '97?
Tolerance Extinction Part 3, where Xavier was trying to clearly fuck Magneto. Like, he kept leaning in for that kiss, and Magneto's like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with your eye?"
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit closer. He's like, "Dude, I'm not into ball guys. Back off."
Loved though that in a world where so many Marvel properties end with sky beams and confusing fights, the last episodes of X-Men '97 ended with clear visuals of a teamwork and an actual mental battle between Charles Xavier and Magneto, which is sort of the core of the whole X-Men. Literally them discussing philosophy psychically while the world is going to shit and Bastion is doing battle with everything, and Asteroid M is about to crash into the Earth because humans were dumb and activated the Magneto protocols right when they were about to get through to Bastion.
So it was also, we had a moment where Magneto refused to give in, and Charles said, "I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm gonna do this anyway. I was asking permission. Now I'm forcing myself on you." And
that means we've got Onslaught coming in a future season.
100%.
Let's be real.
100%.
But they didn't go straight to him.
Now, also for me being a king of daddy issues, getting the Cable, Scott taking his eyes off Jean, helping us actually see his father's eyes. Oh, that broke me. I'm like, I'm so glad Gambit's dead. This is.
I'm still mourning Gambit. Okay, but it was a sweet scene.
It gives me such joy. I watch on repeat in the morning when it's like my daily affirmation with like coffee. But anyway.
For those not watching on the YouTubes, there is a very pained smile on R.E. Carr's face.
Oh.
Guess who her favorite X-Men character of all time is?
Guess who mine is?
Was.
Yeah. Can you guess
who was?
Can you guess my favorite X-Men character? You probably can't.
Well, you said Nocturne, but I think Blink maybe. I know you
it's
like
in that.
her a lot.
In that one. Blink and Nocturne are on that team with
the Exiles.
Mimic. I love that version of Mimic because he was such an everyman character. He had 5 powers, half as good as everybody else, and he just refused to go down. Mimic, Calvin Rankin, love that character. My all-time favorite. But anyway, we're in the finale. Rick,
Yes.
What do you think of the finale?
I gotta be honest, like I liked this version of Bastion better than the comics, but I still wasn't 100% sold. Honestly, it was a typical cartoon finale where it was like, okay, almost you guys mentioned Final Fantasy. It was almost like that. It's like every time we beat Bastion, he gets another upgrade. You know, when are we going to get his final form? that was fine. It was more the aftermath when it was all done that I liked, because it sets up for next season, and I loved the stuff it set up for next season.
Yes, they brought in another Castlevania voice actor, the other Artificer.
Yes. I enjoyed this finale. I thought it, I wish we'd had maybe one more. If we had gotten rid of like that life death, one of them, like that kind of thing, and put in a little bit more Bastion to like just flesh out just a little bit more, just so we get a little bit more of the unctuous nature of the Bastion character. So his level ups and he's like refusing to go down. Why he's such a big bad? Because when you have someone like Magneto, who is both your greatest villain and one of your greatest assets, Bastion's cool and all because he can he's control all the Roombas around the world, but
he's almost a straw man villain for this season.
Yes,
and I think that's okay because it was the Magneto versus Xavier conflict that was ultimately.
It feels like something like Ford's could have just gone, oh, I can just spin an off switch. Never mind. I got this, everybody. Don't worry. I got Bastion fixed. Don't worry. I can just remember my mutant power.
He did. He made the collar. He did invent the thing.
Right, but he could have put it
with
on
the Deus Ex Phoenixa. We did have to mention the one
that sucked.
Like the logic there. Like honestly, I would have been like, okay, why don't we take care of Bastion while the power's off, because that'll be a lot easier, and then we'll go handle Magneto. And probably everybody should have been like, that makes a lot of sense.
That's what they were trying to do.
I think they were trying to do. They split the party to do that because they didn't have enough time.
Yeah, they split the party, and they split it. Stupidly.
Never split the party.
Because that's when Cyclops shot Professor X. I need to give them more time. They're not done yet. But getting to see them trying to screw it with all the blaze of glory. He pulls the mask off, full eye beams, lightning bolts, everybody, and Wolverine's still laying in a bed going, and Morph's like, dude, just like, in case you haven't picked up on it, I'm into you. Just throwing it out there.
I will say I loved Morph's confession of love to Wolverine as Jean Grey.
That was nice. I feel like, again, Morph was, they brought him back for no reason. He was about as useful as Beast, and it sucked.
I will definitely say Morph and Beast had the smallest storylines, but Morph was really good as providing that kind of almost everyman level. Like he could literally be every man.
Yeah, until he turned into the Hulk.
Well, the problem is they kind of at the same time made Morph OP, overpowered, but at the same time useless.
Yes.
Well, I think the issue is he's the character that shows that skill is actually more powerful than raw power, because he can imitate the Hulk, but he doesn't. He's not the Hulk.
Right.
Like he's not as powerful. He can imitate some of the physical powers, but he has no control or finesse.
When Ro comes in to hit Bastion like a wrecking ball and does the clap, she does Hulk-like moves because she has the skill to back it up. She knows what she's doing. And it's like, his name was Remy. And it was
Remember it.
I friend zoned him for years. You made me be a bad person, you jerk. So.
I couldn't touch his dick until he was dead.
He kept even saying, they're like, I've got this collar here, Shed. We could just totally go to, Shed's right here. Yeah.
They do that in the comics.
But. Understood. But it's right freaking there. They even weaponize it in a gun. They could probably do it in a needle. This is like an hour version. This will last for an hour. It's like a plan B for mutants. So.
But yes, to sum up, we get to the end. Asteroid M is falling to Earth. Charles and Xavier have to actually resolve their issues. Almost kiss, it feels like
9 times.
But it's very cool. But it's like you get Bastion is destroyed. No body though. Let's be very clear. No body with Bastion. Asteroid M vanishes at the end of the episode. You think it's been blown up. Everyone's assuming the X-Men are dead. And you got Forge in the little X-Mansion reporting on all the missing, presumed dead X-Men. And you get all your Easter eggs in a very Days of Future Past board. And then comes the actual ending to the episode. Where Rogue...
Bishop goes, hey guys, remember me? No.
Yeah, Bishop basically shows up.
He shows up at the end like Blaster did at the end of Transformers the movie, who skipped over the whole movie, just jumped to the end. So, yes.
Yeah, he was like getting coffee or something during the season, and came back, tall timey-wimey, and is like, they're not dead. And then you see Rogue, Magneto, Professor X,
Beast are in ancient
are
Egypt.
all in ancient Egypt. And you can know there's only one thing that they're going to show in ancient fucking Egypt.
And Sabah Nur, motherfuckers.
Yes! They end up saving Apocalypse from getting fucked up
And
by
in
the
the
Pharaoh's
future,
guard.
we have Scott and Jean, presumably Morph and Wolverine with them in the
And
Hellscape
Storm.
future.
We don't
And
know
Storm.
where Storm, Wolverine,
I
or
think
Morph are. You don't see them.
I thought Storm was with the other team in ancient
Nope.
Egypt. All right.
Nope, you do not see Storm, Morph, or Wolverine, which is interesting because those are all characters who, in any version of the comics, have been Horsemen of Apocalypse.
Right.
Just saying. I'm throwing my theory crap there.
I think Mr. DeMeo, even though he was kicked off the show, keep tweeting out constantly that Wolverine and Morph are with them in the future. We just didn't see them. So, or at least that's how it was written. But again, anything can be retconned. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it for later
Yeah,
things.
we didn't see it, and he's not the showrunner anymore.
But dude, I don't know what he did, but man, the man brought it when it came to this show.
He did.
I mean, if it's James Gunn got forgiven for some of his bad jokes on Twitter that were tasteless, I'm just saying, if it wasn't horrible, bring him back because he's really good at what he does.
He is. Apparently, though, he was difficult to work with on The Witcher and was fired from there as well.
Yeah, but there's also a reason that show's going to tank and suck anyway because The Witcher started getting worse and worse the longer it went on. So I don't blame him for being difficult.
Yeah, but we don't know what happened. There's been no official statement. So yes, if he didn't do something horrible, by God, please pull a James Gunn. If he did do something horrible, I'm sorry. Find somebody just as good.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to the end of the show, but there was, in true Marvel modern fashion, a post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm. We get good old going through the ruins of Genosha. We hear the voice actor of Apocalypse, and he finds the Queen of Hearts, and he is the word death. Definitely so much foreshadowing that Mr. Lebeau,
Remy LeBeau,
whatever. And no one history doesn't remember him. Neither should I.
Because I missed the post-credit scene.
Oh no!
So
yeah, there's a really cool post-credit scene of him lifting up the Queen of Hearts and saying Apocalypse,
so much
saying
death.
so much death. And if you haven't
modern
read the
day
comics,
Apocalypse, yes.
Apocalypse ends up turning Gambit into one of his most fearsome horsemen of death.
But to be fair, everybody's been death. Wolverine's been death. Archangel's been death.
No, Wolverine was war.
I thought there was death also.
Nope, he was war.
Okay.
Archangel was death.
Everybody's been a horseman.
At the end of the day, it's hard to take.
I think Morph was angel of death, pestilence, and Storm was famine. That's why I said it's interesting that the only ones who've been horsemen.
No, this is not a dig at. This is not a dig at Miss Carr, but it is like, hey y'all, I'm death, mon ami. Like I can't. I'm sorry. It's just Archangel looks cool with wings and shit.
He was frightening. He looks totally different. He was frightening in the comics. He wasn't quite as Gambit.
Because the image that Professor X saw in his mind looked like Skullfire from X-Men 2099. Like
I know, but he didn't look like that in the comics.
Okay.
I don't know how they're gonna do his appearance in the show.
That would
they have modified
an awesome spin-off, X-Men 2099 in this style.
Oh, I loved X-Men 2099. I think I was the only one who read that.
No,
I still have my issues, and I still stand by. They're mediocre at best. Skullfire, he was again. He felt like someone said, "Hey, let's take Gambit's hair and Wolverine's attitude and shake him up." Because after he had his glow up, he went his psychotic break. Like the guy that was cool was the one that could turn into Metal Eddie, and he could turn into all the different metals and make music off his body. I liked him,
I just thought they were cool. I liked them, but it might be nostalgia haze, but I did like them. I think Spider-Man 2099 was better.
Oh yeah, because that still stands up. Obviously, Miguel O'Hara is just dope. So,
but it's their own. But yes, that was our rambling about X-Men 97. I will say that my overall view of the series was really positive, and I think episode 5 was pretty much flawless. My one complaint was I think they were so worried that they were only going to get one season that they decided, you know what, if we're going to go out with a bang. And I think because of modern streaming, like the budgets being slashed and shows being, that they said we're going to do every major beat, and it was a little rushed at times. But I would honestly rather have been super rushed and exhilarated than bored, and I wasn't bored watching.
Never bored.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, because
So
they
that's
also
my
set up,
overall.
they also set up a style where you can have this quick turnaround and a gasp moment. And as long as they don't stick to the formula too much, every once in a while you got to like let some things breathe. But they have a good formula, and I think if they do go forward now, if they ever just made the Age of Apocalypse storyline and like just hit the reset button, just like that would be. I'm in.
Oh, that would be amazing. Well, the thing is, now that they have proven themselves, I think they might be able to breathe. I'm really hoping they have more than 10 episodes, because I would love if they had like 3 or 4 episodes per time period, and they had like something like 13 episodes where it's, you know, 4, 4, 4, and then the last episode
finale.
with everyone together.
You bring in
I
your end game moment. Yeah.
Because I wanted to see more of Magneto trying to be a good guy. I wanted to see Rogue and Sunspot at the end try to be bad guys. I wanted to see more of Storm without her powers. I wanted to see more Bastion. But at least what we did get was well done, and they certainly hit the cliff notes. I never felt lost or going, this is out of nowhere. I just
and they
felt
had
like it was
they had a great funeral scene for the best death of the dumbest character and all of
I hate you.
And on that note, we've been going for about an hour and 15.
Yes.
So we'll just leave it off on that sad/hilarious note.
Woo!
Remember it. That's all I have to say.
This has been Authors and Dragons Side Quest. I'm Rick Gualtieri with MK Gibson and Ari Carr. And Authors and Dragons, the Dicey Bastards, will be back next week. Until then, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Authors and Dragons is brought to you under a Creative Commons license, meaning you are free to share this material so long as credit is given to those who created it, which is us, the people you just heard play the game. Opening and closing themes performed by the Gore Core 4.